Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are reviewing the Heroes Rising series. If you haven't watched all the videos of our fight series, there is a link in the description of the entire playlist. It goes all the way back from Final Battle to the Heroes Rising. So be sure to watch that if you haven't. There are also other review videos that you can watch to catch yourself up. So let's get started. So before jumping into episode 1 of Heroes Rising, let's jump into the foundation of it all. The first thing is there was plenty of time between the end of War of U2 and the beginning of Heroes Rising. Now in that time, Xander and Lincoln knew that Josh was apparently dead. They wanted to wait though because maybe he was still alive. Until he didn't turn up, that's how episode 1 kind of begins. There were also many big questions that hadn't been solved and they're up on screen right now. And there was no real answers to why any of this was. There were also huge questions on where certain people were at. Alright, we jump into episode 1. At the beginning of this episode, Lincoln talks to Xander about telling people the news about Josh. Now, even though it was very old news to Lincoln and Xander, it's kind of just been a reoccurring nightmare for them. And they wanted to finally tell everybody else about the truth. However, the way they wanted to do it was individually. That way, if one of their overreactions happened, they could probably deal with it pretty quickly. At least they thought. They also thought that dealing with Rowan would be the easiest, since he was usually pretty easy to deal with in the past. But obviously that didn't end up working out well. Another huge detail we need to see in this episode is a clone named Eason sneaking around and getting onto the roof of the house, which is important in episode 2 because of his actions there. In episode 2, we see this Eason clone going into Lincoln's room and hacking the computer. He is able to turn on the old camera system, which was used by the Rogue Ravens in the War of U2. So this is huge for them because they can now see every move that Lincoln and everybody else has planned. However, Lincoln does find that this intruder did this and figured it out really quickly. He then tracked him down and found him in the weight room where they fought and Lincoln won. He tried to get some answers, but sadly killed Eason out of, well, anger. So after Lincoln kills Eason, he knows that there's a huge problem and that there could be a lot more clones. He shoots Isaiah an emergency text that basically means that he needs to round up everybody and meet at the forest. Lincoln then tries his best to get Rowan inside, but then he is shot. Now, a lot of people were confused about this scene, but here's the truth. The Thermite clone shot Rowan with blank rounds. So Rowan just basically acted as if he got shot, but he never really actually got hurt, which I think is a detail that it wasn't said in the series, but is cool to hear. Lincoln is then ambushed by a clone named Lush, who basically takes him out, and then Rowan knocks him out. And Xander does see all of this, and then heads to the forest because he receives a text from Isaiah to do so. So he knows that something is up. In episode 3, Lincoln is awakened to a man in a mask, but this time it is Cell, who is a leader clone of this new organization called Castle. In this talk between the two, Cell explains that Rowan has been working with them and that he's made special gadgets such as the Heart Ball and the Box 2.0, which they currently sit in. Lincoln is then taken into a virtual reality where he's put to sleep by a special clone named Storm, who has telekinesis powers that put Lincoln asleep. Then finally, after Lincoln woke up from the virtual reality, he is met up by Rowan, who tries to find people such as Dylan and Delandrian. Lincoln, however, does not know where they are at and chooses not to tell anything. Rowan tries to persuade Lincoln in joining his side. Lincoln refuses. In one final effort, he tells him that Josh is still alive. Now, how does Rowan know this? It's a big question, but it doesn't sadly get answered in this series. In episode 4, Xander and Brendan meet up and try and catch up on everything that's been going on. Brendan immediately is attacked by that Storm clone, and thankfully Josh actually came and rescued Brendan, even though Brendan just killed him 3 seconds later. And they finally got to basically catch up and basically apologize for everything. And while all that was happening, Xander was 2v1ing Thermite and Cell. He is able to kill Thermite and is helped by Isaiah to have Cell surrender. Sadly, Rowan comes up behind and takes Isaiah away, which leaves him and Xander facing off 1-1 for the final showdown. In episode 5, we have one of those huge questions answered because we get to figure out who created the gauntlet, Isaiah. Now, Lincoln's immediate reaction is like, he did it for good intentions, but is there something darker behind why he made it? Again, we don't get to know in this series. Basically, in this episode, they learn of secrets, that they're in a box and that there's a way out, and they basically escape. Well, Lincoln does, but Isaiah sadly does not. Anyways, then Cell goes on to tell about the plan of creating super clones with the heart ball, which is why they need to charge it. A lot happens in episode 6, and I'll try my best to explain it all. So in episode 6, Lincoln finds Xander and Rowan, and then Rowan goes on to explain why he's done what he's done, because there's been a lot going on, and Rowan had to basically come out and try not look like the bad guy. However, both Lincoln and Xander know that if Rowan stands in their way, the clones are going to take advantage of this. Lincoln and Xander know that Rowan thinks he's leading the clones, but they know deep down the clones are using Rowan as a distraction so that they can create more clones, which is a detail that wasn't really explained in the series. So then it goes on to the fighting. Xander gets absolutely clapped, so does Lincoln. Then Josh steps in and he does a little bit better, is able to get Rowan down the hill. Then he takes Lincoln into the box 2.0. Then while that's happening, Brendan shows up and they take down Rowan with Xander's help. And then Rowan is forced to switch sides and help Lincoln end this all. Now, Lincoln is pretty confident at this point that he can basically finish this all himself, so he sends Josh back. However, that was definitely a big mistake because Lush shows up and they go on for the longest fight in our fight series. Now, how was Lincoln, who was shot in the leg, had probably multiple broken bones, and probably had a concussion for all the times getting hit in the head, be able to beat Lush, who is probably one of the strongest clones we've had in the series? Well, here's how. There are 2 big reasons why Lincoln won this battle. The first one is that Lush didn't actually need to win. He knew that Cell would get the job done. But why wouldn't Lush just want to kill Lincoln? It would make things a lot easier, right? Well, the other reason is Lincoln slowly adapted to him being hurt and basically couldn't feel pain as the fight went on. Actually, the longer the fight went on, Lincoln actually got better and better, and Lush actually got worse. And that's how Lincoln was able to take advantage of Lush and kill him. Lincoln sees the heart ball, he goes for it, and gets shot and killed by Cell. And before Lincoln dies, Lincoln knows that this isn't going to end with Cell winning, and Cell gets killed by Rowan. And yeah, then Rowan and Isaiah bring Isaiah back to life. But a really big question comes here again. Isaiah helping Lincoln resurrect from the heart ball, how could he have known that information? Rowan was the creator, so how would Isaiah possibly know? Oh wait. So there it is. Lincoln resurrected, they destroy the box 2.0, and they walk off like nothing happened. There are obviously a lot of questions that have been answered in this series, a lot of big questions too, but also a lot of new big questions that were unfolded, and now new mysteries that might be solved. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Heroes Rising, and if you did, please sure to like. And I'm not sure if we're going to be doing a season 5 or just more of this series. We really got to figure things out, but right now is going to definitely be a little bit of a pause. Next video, actually, I'll probably talk a lot more about what we're going to be doing on the channel going forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.